Welcome to the SHT podcast. This podcast is created by our community for our community and for anyone else who wants to look, feel, and perform like a freaking badass. Your holistic health journey starts and continues right here with us. Rediscover how you were meant to live.
All right, what is going on, y'all? We are back with another week in review. Today is Friday, August 20th, but I guess that doesn't matter because whenever you listen to this, it's going to be really useful info. But we gotten some really good feedback on these weekend reviews because I guess there's just a lot of things that happen with our private coaching sessions and different events that we have that are great learning opportunities for all of us, sometimes reiterating some basic foundational info just in a different way. And I think all of us benefit from hearing things multiple times. And so what we'll do today is just go through some learning points that we've had with some private clients and some conversations. But before we get into that, my co-host for these weekend reviews has been Mindy, she's a moderator inside our online community, SuperHumans United, and she's back to teaching, so congratulations. She's out there representing SHT and real foodies and great mothers all across the world, but she's not able to join me. But I do want to ask, if you think you got what it takes and you want to be a co-host, meaning that you would be facilitating, like being in an interviewer role, and you have a good personality and you'd enjoy getting on mic, maybe sometimes on camera, shoot me an email at paulcturina@superhumantransformation.com or support@superhumantransformation.com, and we'll get on the phone or we'll get on the Zoom call and we'll test that out. Could be a temporary thing, could be a long-term thing. Most of you who've been following us for any amount of time know that we've been doing this for a while and we're not going anywhere. I feel like our message is so unique because we clarify the confusion, we bring confidence to the people that we work with, because there's just so much information out there. Even the correct, accurate information can be extremely confusing for people. And I feel like one of our values is this whole idea around simplicity and elegance and making this work in a modern lifestyle and boiling down these popular methodologies and concepts and things that we hear into what it is that we actually need to know. And so I don't know if you've listened to our Letting Go of the Mystic Self podcast or watched the video. I feel like that was a really, really great episode from the heart. And I talked in there about, hey, look, like I've got these ideas and dreams. I want to take this to some level, like a national/worldwide level. And I don't know if it's going to get there or not, but you know what? I'm never going to stop. It's either going to get there or I'm going to die trying. So if you want to be a part of that and help us out, and you've somewhat internalized these concepts and you feel comfortable getting on mic or getting on camera, then we'd love to hear from you. All right, so I think what I want to start out with is just announcing some upcoming events that we have, because a lot of the events that we put out are exclusive to our online community, SuperHumans United, but we also try to mix in there some things that give other people an opportunity to come and intermix with some of us and then maybe get a taste for what being a part of this community is like. And so if you check our calendar at superhumantransformation.com/calendar, if we have anything coming up, it will be there listed. And right now on August 28th, which is a Saturday at 3 p.m., we have a pizza afternoon at Dom DeMarco's Pizza, and that's here in Las Vegas. So if you're in Las Vegas or you plan on being in Las Vegas, we'd love to see you there. There should be an Eventbrite link in the calendar that you can RSVP to. Their cauliflower crust is probably the best that we've ever tasted. It's a little bit more expensive than others, but totally worth it because we don't go there that often. And we reserve the outdoor patio seating so that we can all just kind of hang out and have a few drinks and eat some great pizza. So we'd love to see you there. Also coming up, we've got on September 4th at 10 a.m. a virtual class on camping, backpacking, and being outdoors in nature. So we just got back from an epic backpacking trip and just added to our cumulative wisdom there. And so we've got a lot of great insights to share. So whether you're a veteran camper or backpacker or brand new to it, then I think this would be a really, really useful class for you. We're going to talk all about equipment sourcing and considerations for choosing spots, and again, it's meant to be for beginners, but also we've got some veteranish type info in there because we're going to talk a lot about our experiences. So that's September 4th at 10 a.m. virtual, 10 a.m. PST. And then we've also got an opportunity to put those outdoor skills into practice on September 18th. We've got a field trip to Christensen's Family Farm, and this is the farm that we use through the Vegas Food Co-op. They're up in Utah. We're going to go there and have an afternoon where they take us on a tour of the entire farm. We get to meet the animals. We go through some educational concepts. And then we finish it with a dinner sponsored by them, obviously using like all their amazing meats, from their beef and their pork there. And then we're going to camp that night somewhere locally. And the area up there is really beautiful. It's going to be nice and cool this time of year. So again, September 18th, and that's going to be pretty much a mid-afternoon to all-day thing, starting somewhere around 12 noon or 1 p.m. Details will be in the event in our calendar, and we would love to see you there, okay? So that's what we got coming up near future. Let's talk about some great learning points from the week. I had a client, her name is Shauna, and the first thing that we talked about was alternatives to her creamer. She's been on this real food journey for a couple weeks now, looking great, feeling great, but she just can't give up the creamer. And so, I feel like a lot of us that come into a real food way of eating, whether it's SHT or paleo or something along those lines, that creamer is one of the hardest things to give up. And I think one of the reasons it's hard to give up is because we think that we can't have anything with sugar in it. And I just want to remind you guys, we're not anti-sugar. We're pro good ingredients. So a little bit of sugar is not a problem. We just want to make sure that the rest of the thing is made with good ingredients. And so if you look at the ingredients on her Coffee Mate vanilla creamer or French vanilla creamer, then the worst offenders in there are going to be these soybean oil and canola oils. And remember, these toxic, highly industrialized, plant-based oils are extremely problematic, because if you think about what it is that you're trying to accomplish when you come into a real food nutrition program, most of us want long-term health, we want to feel good, and we want an optimal body composition. And these highly processed plant-based oils, again, specifically we're talking here about soybean oil, canola oil, corn oil, vegetable oil. Those are the big ones that you're usually going to see out there. Sometimes safflower oil, sunflower oil, grapeseed oil. These oils, the body will take up and it will build itself with them, which these are not appropriate oils to build the body with and to build cell membranes with. And they inhibit the body's ability to use fat for fuel. And one of our goals in the SHT is training the body how to be metabolically flexible and ultimately teaching the body how to tap into excess body fat stores for energy. And so consuming these oils is in the opposite direction of that. It inhibits that energy creation system. And so I would say that they're more of a deal breaker than wheat would be. So what we want is something that does not have those oils. It doesn't have to be completely sugar-free. And the options that we went over, first of all, we've got, we call it SHT vanilla creamer. You can call it whatever the heck you want. Super simple list of ingredients. We've got a cup of heavy cream. Add to that a tablespoon of unpasteurized raw honey, and then a teaspoon of vanilla extract. And you can start with that and change the proportions as necessary. I think that for most people tastes pretty good. If you want to increase the honey or increase the vanilla just a little bit, you can. That is our top recommendation for a vanilla creamer. Most people absolutely love that. If you don't do good with dairy, you can try a little bit of almond milk that has minimal ingredients, or some coconut milk. But then we also went on over some store-bought recommendations. And so the first one that we have is this product called Better Half. Now, Better Half is by a company called Kafia, I think that's how you say it, Kafia Farms. And they've got a couple of different options. Califia Farms, sorry. The first one is their Better Half coffee creamer, and specifically here we're talking about vanilla. And this is something that is a zero sugar creamer. And all the ingredients check out. I've heard great things from my clients about it. But they also have one that has just a little bit of sugar in it, just a little bit sweet. It's got 2 grams of sugar per serving. So again, we're not anti-sugar. We just want to make sure that these things are made with the appropriate oils and have healthy fats in them. So that Califia Farms, Better Half, and then their regular vanilla creamer checks out. Another great option for a vanilla creamer is going to be the So Delicious dairy-free organic coconut milk creamer, French vanilla flavored. Again, all the ingredients check out. It's got a little bit of sweet in it. It's got about 3 grams of sugar per serving. And then I think the top-rated one that I've heard back from clients is going to be Nut Pods French Vanilla. It's got 0 sugar, all good ingredients. And if you can't find something with those different options, maybe just try cream in your coffee. And that's it. Because a lot of people, honestly, once they just try cream in their coffee, they never go back to having these different flavors and things like that. So what else? Me and Shauna talked about she needed dessert ideas. And so, of course, we shared the fruit bar recipe. That's a recipe that's inside the community. It might even be on our public site. But we also talked about coming up with a list of things that you normally would like that you think are off plan. So I think this is a really good strategy if you're struggling for some variety, whether it's with your desserts or your main meals. is making a list of the things that you think that you like and that maybe you think that you have to give up, and then trying to figure out what's a real food alternative for this that's made with better ingredients. Now, of course, you wouldn't want to be eating these desserty things all the time, but as an occasional treat to try to make something that resembles something that you think you have to give up, it's really powerful, because you start to realize that you don't have to go without everything for the rest of your life. This is not something that's so restrictive that you can never have something that looks like a Snickers bar. You just have to have a Snickers bar that's made with good ingredients. And when you find a way to make these things on your own, there's something very liberating about that. And you start to find these ways of doing things that are very simple and elegant, and then you start to become a chef with it, and a lot of the best recipes that we have come out of this need to replace something that we feel like we have to give up. So she's coming up with a list. We're going to come up with alternatives to those different things. But then she also asked for some recipes for variety, because she's, like a lot of people when they start out with a real food way of eating, she's doing the standard, eggs and bacon in the sausage, or eggs and bacon and sausage in the morning, and then, some of the same things over and over in the evening meal. So what we talked about was this idea that for that first meal of the day, and she's already eating 2 meals a day, which I think is the default most people should abide by over time. She's already at 2 meals a day with no snacking. And that first meal, I feel like, is so important to set a tone for the day that it can be repetitive. It can be the same thing. And I think for most of us, that first meal is something we're doing on our own anyway. So I shared with her, me and my wife, Arnica, we kind of do our own thing for the first half of the day. When we come together for dinner in the evenings, this is when we like to add a little bit of variety to what we're doing. So if that first meal of the day has to be the same and repetitive, it's serving a purpose, and that's totally cool. And also, if you want to mix it up and change things up, you can do that. I would say if you can find something that you can do a Sunday food prep with that you can make for the rest of the week, I think that would be really convenient for most of us, so it's an easy grab and go, since most of us are kind of working, for the first part of the day. But, if we're looking for variety in general, or variety with that evening meal, the evening meal is usually the place that we come together as a family, and that's where it would benefit from us having some different options. And so the first thing we talked about was our food prep and meal prep methodologies. So we've got one that is basically a 2-day food prep or meal prep, and basically you're thinking about, what is it that I want to have for the week, and whatever that is, I need to go shopping for it one day. And then maybe I can get some of my staples for the week made on another day, right? Because I feel like the shopping and the prepping all in one day is too much for most people to handle. It's just kind of too overwhelming, too stressful. So for most of us that work on Monday through Friday, maybe think about making your list of stuff to go get on Saturday, get all the stuff you need for these different meal ideas for the week, and then Sunday you're going to prep the staples, or the things that you know that you can make ahead of time, which would usually be things like your starches and your breakfast foods and things like that. And then you've got a plan for your evening meals, because you've already got the foods for it. You've already got your meats. I also think it's really beneficial to think in terms of the main star of the show when it comes to the meal, which is usually for most of us the animal foods, and making sure that we vary that up, and then just having some salads and some greens and some vegetables available that we can pull from, or something like the Bow Bar. So we talked about our 2 different meal prep methods. The first one is the 2-day method, which is you shop one day, you prep the next day for the staples, right? Our favorite way of doing things is what we call the leftovers method. So on a Sunday, we'll look out over the week and think, all right, what are the 2 or 3 different things we want to do this week? What have we not done in a while? And then we'll plan out probably like a Monday night, Wednesday night, Friday night, something along those lines. Or maybe we'll just do Monday and Wednesday night, and then Friday night ends up being a date night or something like that. Maybe we'll go out to dinner or something. But the purpose of the leftovers method is you prep your food for that night, in that night, and you make enough for 2 nights. So you have leftovers for the next night. So let's say Monday night we want to do chicken fingers, and we want to do some oven baked vegetables, and then maybe a baked potato. Then we would do 2 nights worth on Monday. We would eat Monday night, and then we'd have everything that we need for Tuesday night. We just need to reheat it in the microwave or put it in the oven, which is what we like to do, because we don't have a microwave. So the leftovers method is awesome, because you're only planning for 2 or 3 meals in the week. And then every time you cook, you're cooking for 2 nights. And so you've got leftovers for another night. All right. We also covered a couple of really useful little tools that we have inside the community. One of them is our meal matrix. And so Arnica and I put together our favorite meals matrix. And so we've just got a list of different things that we cook on a regular basis. There's things like our chicken fingers and what is it? We call it our dinner matrix here. It's our mustard burgers, which are kind of like a take on the In-N-Out burgers, where we cook our burger patties in some mustard. We do steaks almost every week. We like to cycle through pork belly sometimes, pork chops. We like to do an omelet. We like taco bowls or taco night. Arnica loves roast, so usually we'll do, at least once a month a beef roast or a pork roast. Love having breakfast for dinner. And that would be like a bacon, egg sausage, and banana pancakes or something along those lines. Buffalo wings, I think, are one of those kind of forgotten things that most people like do one time and then never come back to it. So we've got our main dishes there on a sheet that we have printed out on our fridge, and we'll look at it and just be like, all right, what do we want to do for this week? And we'll choose 2 or 3 and use the leftovers method to make those different things that are our main dishes. We also have like our side dishes up that are our main side dishes. Ours are going to be white rice, yolk roll pizza, sweet potatoes, buttered carrots, and buttered veggies. And again, if we haven't had something a little bit, maybe we'll have a craving for one of those things. Our favorite desserts are going to be our fresh fruit, banana yolk roll, our SHT fudge, and then also banana, honey, and chocolate all put together. So we just crumble up bananas and crumble up some chocolate, or use some chocolate chips and put some honey on it. But I think the point here is that you can come up with a list of foods or a list of meals that you personally like, and then you can SHTify it, or you can real foodify it, and just make sure that it's made with good ingredients. And having that list is really useful because you can look at it and pull from it as often as you need to get that variety. We also covered, me and Shauna, for this whole idea on variety for her evening meals, we talked about our meat matrix. And our meat matrix is basically, we sat down and we went through every animal food that there is and thought about all the different creative ways that we could actually make some foods with it. So when it comes to eggs, we brainstormed, like, what are the different dishes and things that we can do with eggs? I mean, obviously we got our casserole and yolk roll, and then within that we've got like things like our pizza yolk roll or goat cheese pizza yolk roll. So there's different varieties and versions, and again, if you have this in a list and you look at it, then it gives you this feeling of, okay, I got a lot of different options. And with eggs, you can do omelets, you can do scrambled eggs and butter, you can do hard-boiled eggs, and you can do the same thing with each of the main animal foods. Ground beef, I mean, obviously you got burgers, but within burgers, you got different styles of burgers that you might like. With ground beef, you got tacos, and within tacos, you got different ways to make tacos. With steaks, you got different cuts of steak, different ways that you can cook your steak, different ways that you can season it. So I think a really good exercise would be to take your main animal foods and then go through and think about all the different creative ways that you would enjoy consuming that animal food. And sometimes you can even just Google some ideas. I also think it's useful to think about an animal in general and cuts of the animal that you haven't ever done before or you're not very familiar with. So I asked Shauna, I was like, have you ever done short ribs? And she's like, it's been a really long time. I'm like, short ribs are so freaking amazing. And as soon as I mentioned that to her, I got excited about short ribs again, So having a list of different animal foods, and within those animal foods, the different cuts, and then within those different cuts and different items, you can also think about the different ways, and then coming up with your own list of stuff. Now, we do have a matrix inside the community that shares all this info, so if you're in there, of course, you can take advantage of that. So that was our discussion around varying up that evening meal. The final thing that me and Shauna talked about was she wanted to make sure that she's got a good fitness program in place, and she works out at home. She has her own equipment. And the first thing that we discussed was, what is it that you're trying to accomplish with your fitness program? And like many people, she wants a good-looking body. She wants to be toned. She wants some musculature. And over time, she also wants to be very capable. She wants to be able to do things. So starting out, if you want shape and tone, I think the best exercises you can include in your program are going to be strength-based exercises. Now, strength-based can mean that you're doing body weight exercises. Pull-ups are strength building, push-ups are strength building, squats are strength building, but you can also throw in some weight training because those are the things that are going to shape your body. And the conditioning piece, which, she's doing treadmill type stuff here and there, I think it's beneficial for cardiovascular capacity, but it doesn't do as much about shaping the body. But over time, we're going to have another discussion next time we get together. I think over time, ideally, you want something that is giving you general preparedness capacity. Like, it makes you functional in a bunch of different areas. You've got some body weight movements that you are masterful at. You've got gymnastics type movements. You've got weight bearing exercises. You've got a variety of different things that you can do that makes you very capable. And a person that can do a lot of these different things is also going to look a certain way. But starting out to shape your body, definitely recommending the weight training and weight bearing type exercises. What else did we talk about this week? Also, I had a shopping tour with a new client. Her name's Colleen. She's awesome. She's out in California. We're doing most of our calls through Zoom, although I did get to meet her in person here in Vegas for a little bit. So in that shopping tour, we did a Zoom-based virtual shopping tour. And I've done some presentations on this before, but we had a chance to go through every slide together, and it was very personalized. She got to ask a lot of questions, and I think the main things that came out of that were, and the main things we can take away from that are that you have to read ingredients everywhere you go. Most of us are probably only used to looking at the nutrition information, meaning like the protein and the carbs and the sugar and the fat. And the reality is that doesn't tell us anything about the quality of the food. And in fact, I don't think we ever look at that. We may look at the sugar content sometimes. The majority of what we're looking for on labels is something around toxicity. And so what we're looking to avoid are our big offenders, and that's going to be wheat and then all the toxic oils that we mentioned before. Like, I would say those are complete deal breakers. And then usually if something has a long list of ingredients with a bunch of preservatives and things and names that we don't understand, it's probably not something that we want to opt for. Ideally, you're looking for something with a small list of ingredients, that has that's made with appropriate oils and has things that you are aware of that fit within our realm of real food, or something that is relatively healthy. And if it's got wheat, if it's got these industrial plant-based oils, then it's definitely something that's going to be a deal breaker for us. And there's a lot of different options out there. I think another big takeaway from that shopping tour together was that there's an alternative for just about everything that you think you have to give up. When we first started eating real food 10 years ago, we did not have all the options that we have now. We literally were real food purists. And here we are today. We've got taco, alternatives. We got soft shell, hard shell. We got candy, desserts, crackers, chips, cookies, ice creams. We've got even, appropriate protein and fat-based snacks. So there's a ton of options out there. So again, if we're trying to make this work in a modern lifestyle, we don't have much of an excuse not to, because a big part of what we're doing is just trying to choose things made with better ingredients. And in fact, when you look around at all the different options that are out there, and then you look at how sick and suffering people are, every single one of those things out there that are relatively toxic could be made with better ingredients, and it would completely change the health landscape of America in the modern world. Even donuts could be fried in a relatively better oil and made with a different version of wheat, or made with some other kinds of flours or something along those lines. We've got people in our community that have made amazing donuts, So big takeaways from that shopping tour is you always want to read labels. We don't care so much about the nutrition info as much as we do the ingredient info, looking to avoid those main offenders like wheat and the toxic oils and the preservatives and things that we probably have no clue of what they are when we read them. And then there's alternatives for everything. You just want to make sure that at a minimum, you're choosing things made with good ingredients. And over time, you're choosing more and more of your nutrition from real whole foods, like the animal foods and the traditional fats and the vegetables and the greens and a little bit of fruit and a little bit of starch. All right, and then the final thing that I thought was just really interesting, I was talking to my really good friend Rich yesterday, and poor guy came down with COVID, and I think he got it on the plane flight back from Idaho, and which we were all on that flight, so I guess we're all lucky we didn't all get sick, but he's had to self-quarantine at his place in his garage. And by the way, he was on that backpacking trip with us, and so he got to use his backpacking equipment in his garage so we could have a little bed out there. And, he made this comment that, hey, this just reiterates how simple life can be and still be extremely enjoyable. He's got in his garage some weights for working out. He's got a television, and he's got all the stuff that he needs to sleep, and he's got a kitchen with some food, and he's like, beyond that, he's like, what else could I need? I've got the ability to have my work calls, and I've got an ability to eat real food, I got an ability to work out, and I got an ability to sleep. And what else do you need? And we got off on this topic, about how when you simplify your life, it becomes way less stressful and you actually enjoy it so much more. And that's one of the things that I really enjoy about backpacking is when you get out there and you've got just what you need to live, and you're moving most of the day, and you come home and get to camp and you're exhausted, and you really appreciate and enjoy some real food, and you have a really good sleep because you're out in the woods and you don't have all the modern distractions. Life really gets boiled down and distilled down to what is absolutely necessary. And that's a really good reminder of it. So I think a big takeaway from that is that you don't need a lot to be happy. You just need health to be happy. You need the basics. You need real food. You need some kind of a fitness program. You need the ability to sleep well. You need to know what to do to sleep well. And of course you have to do what you got to do to make money. And beyond that, sometimes it can all be extra added stress. So I think that's our big learning points from the week. I think one thing I do want to bring up is we've got some new enhancements to our website. If you go to our website now, you can subscribe, and now we're giving people this free downloadable PDF that we call Debunking Conventional Wisdom and Debunking the Status Quo. And this is like about a 6-page document. It's a chart where we've got things that we've been told that are wrong, the liberating truth, and then your homework that you can start doing and putting into practice to start seeing some great results. And we cover everything from food to sleep to grounding and being outdoors and barefoot and all of our different health foundations. So that's great. If you're not a part of our newsletter and you visit our website superhumantransformation.com, you can get that free PDF, and we'd love to have you connected with us. Also on the website, we've got the ability to schedule a free initial consult. We call it a discovery call. So you can just click on there. If you're in Vegas, we can do an in-person discovery call. If you're outside of Vegas, we can do it through Zoom. And there's a link to a discovery form, which is just a little bit of information about you, which will make our conversation, facilitate an amazing conversation between us. So you can schedule that. And then also we have a link to join our community, and that link comes with a free trial. So if you want to get in there and check it out, we think it's an amazing place of education, experience, and support. Absolutely love what's going on there. And we'd love to see you in there, and it's easy to get out of it. This free trial thing, you do have to enter your credit card information to get in there, but anytime between now and the time that the free trial's over, you can go up to your account and go to payments and cancel, and it's super easy to do. So that's all we got for our weekend review. Coming up, our next podcast/video that we're doing is going to be on the big 3 things to avoid if you had to simplify your process as you're out and about, and the one thing that you can do to lose weight and feel great. And then after that, something I've been working on for a while, really excited to share, is this information around really dealing with our addictions and our habituations, especially as it revolves around stimulants and things that we use to numb out. So I'm excited to share that with you guys. So thank you so much for listening. Again, if you're interested in helping us with the podcast, shoot us an email. And thank you guys so much for listening. We will talk to you soon. All right. Thank you guys so much for listening.
Just remember, the purpose of this podcast is to support our SHT community and to be in your ear as a go-to resource for all things SHT.
Yeah, and if you've fallen off, if you need support, just come back and listen to some of these episodes. You can get re-inspired, re-motivated, and re-engaged. And if you're new to us, the best way you can get started with us is by connecting with us wherever it makes sense by going to SHT4life.com. That's SHT4life.com. And you'll see links to all of our social media accounts.
If you'd like to support us, the best thing you can do is take this information and be living examples to others. You can also share this with people you care about.
Yeah, and if you'd like to be a part of something amazing, you can help us empower the planet together by joining our freaking amazing community at community.superhumantransformation.com. That's all we got.
Bye.